Prioritizing targets is crucial for survival, especially against the Automatons. In this video, I will be going over an enemy tier list for the Automaton faction and how I feel going against them. Now, to prevent this video from becoming controversial, I think it's in my best interest to state that this tier list is based off of my experiences and is strictly opinion based. So I don't want to see any weird comments, alright? Also, before moving on, I just want to say thanks for everyone who's been engaging in my past couple of streams. We had some really nice streams the past couple days, so I just want to thank everyone for joining our community. Starting with the light infantry. Now, the light infantry consists of multiple ground units, each of which have relatively similar characteristics. The trooper, commissar, assault raider, brawler, and rocket raider, each of which are in no particular order, but I will be placing them in the easy pickings category, simply because they are easy to kill and can't withstand more than 1 or 2 shots before dying. The remaining members of the light infantry, the machine gun raider and the marauder, they are both equipped with an assault rifle capable of killing you before reflexes kick in, if RNG is indeed on their side.
What?
A fucking marauder full auto aimbotted me. Given that these two are actually capable of hitting their shots, they are deserving of being placed at a higher tier. Therefore, I will be placing them in the moderate difficulty category. Next on the list are the Jet Brigade. The Jet Brigade is a sub-faction of the light infantry. They are basically enhanced variants of the light infantry. They are equipped with jetpacks that can detonate if anything even so happens to graze them, they detonate, resulting in your character's immediate death or critically low health state, which would make them top priority in the battlefield. Therefore, I think it's reasonable to place them at the annoying category. Next class of units from the Automaton faction are, of course, the medium infantry, starting with the Devastators. Now, the Devastators are absolutely worthless on the battlefield. The light infantry easily stomp on the Devastator. Now, the Devastators are equipped with a laser arm cannon capable of firing in 2-round bursts, then pausing for around 1 or 2 seconds before shooting again. Medium infantry should not be fitted with light infantry level weapons, like the heavy Devastators, for example, or the rocket Devastators, which, as the name suggests, are weapons that are devastating to our players' health states. Point being is, you never find the time where you actually die to these guys, which is why I will be placing them at the very bottom of the list. Next up on the list is the Reinforced Scout Strider and the regular Scout Strider. Starting with the Reinforced Scout Strider, because the Reinforced Scout Strider is the epitome of cancer. If you've ever even had an iota of a thought that you were gonna win a super Helldive mission deathless, well, too bad, because a squadron of Reinforced Scout Striders are coming for you, and their missiles are hot. Now, the Reinforced Scout Striders come primarily equipped with Fusion Repeater, accompanied by 4 rockets. If it wasn't for the fact that the rockets shoot almost unpredictably, then the Reinforced Scout Striders would not at all be cancer to deal with. The Reinforced Scout Striders are also decently fortified, with medium armor penetration being able to penetrate the lower plate and heavy armor penetration being able to penetrate the faceplate where the armaments are held. Next up is, of course, the Scout Strider. Now, the regular Scout Striders don't have missiles, which means they solely rely on their Fusion Repeater in order to kill you. Now, the Scout Strider has either similar or same armor profile, with the exception of the rear, because the regular Scout Striders don't have an autopilot like the Reinforced Scout Striders have. The Scout Striders rely on a trooper or any other light infantry to operate them. Now, the armament on the Scout Striders do inflict a decent amount of damage. Unfortunately for them, their aim is about as accurate as the Devastators. If you are farther than 10 or 15 meters of them, they will not hit a single shot on you, rendering them pretty useless and quite an easy enemy to kill on the battlefield, which is why I will be putting them in the easy pickings category. Next up on the list is the Berserker. Now, the Berserker is a melee-oriented medium infantry automaton, of course equipped with chainsaw arms, because what can do the job better than chainsaws? Now, these guys are capable of doing immense damage, depending on whether you like using light armor or medium armor. Heavy armor, these guys won't even scratch you, but if you're using one or the two, then they will cause quite a bit of damage. Now, I'm not sure if the Berserkers or any other melee infantry are capable of doing headshot damage, because every time I come across one of these guys, they either insta-kill me or place me in a near-death state. They usually approach in swarms, either with heavy devastators, rocket devastators, or swarms of just pure Berserkers. I'm pretty sure the Berserkers are the fastest of the medium infantry, although their movements can still be anticipated. You can penetrate them everywhere, they are pretty unarmored. Overall, I think they deserve to be placed in the moderate category. We are now entering big boy territory, because next up on the list is the Rocket Devastator, an automaton whose sole purpose is to irritate or even infuriate you. An automaton who is largely responsible for the ragdolling in this game. Whenever you come across a squadron of rocket devastators, the game literally turns into a ragdoll simulator. Now, as the name implies, the rocket devastators are mainly equipped with rockets. Rockets which, of course, never directly hit you, but if one managed to, you'd probably get flung to the other side of the planet, dying in the process of landing. They also come equipped with a laser arm cannon, which I'm assuming is similar to the regular Devastator's arm cannon. More than 10 meters away and they are not hitting a singular shot on you. The Rocket Devastator has the same armor profile as the regular Devastator, with the exception of the rocket pods, which are unarmored. I think it's undeniable that the Rocket Devastator definitely needs to be placed in the annoying category. You guys definitely know what's up next, and that would be the Heavy Devastator. Now, the Heavy Devastator comes equipped with a shield, an impenetrable shield, unless you have a weapon equipped with anti-tank level penetration. Now, the Heavy Devastators are basically what the regular Devastators dreamt of being. They're slow, but they are protected, equipped with a shield and a heavy machine gun, which, by the way, literally aimbots you regardless of the distance. You can be 20, 30, maybe even 40 meters away, and it still has a high chance of hitting shots on you. Luckily for me, I'm a Purifier main, so their shield doesn't matter to me. Meaning anything explosive, such as the crossbow, the Punisher Plasma, the Scorcher, the Purifier, instantly make the shield worthless. But if you aren't equipped with explosive weapons, they are definitely guaranteed to at least hit a shot on you. You are going to get damaged by them while shooting back at them, unless you take cover while shooting them, of course. Overall, they are definitely worthy of being placed in the annoying category. Slightly more annoying than the Rocket Devastators. Next up is the last member of the medium units, the Gunship. Now, before moving on, I think I've made a mistake. The Helldivers wiki mentioned that the Scout Striders are actually light vehicles, which should therefore be placed with the light infantry units, but I just want to mention that mistake before anyone corrects me in the comments, which I'm sure it's going to happen anyway, but that's fine. Please go on. The Gunships are equipped with a machine gun as well as rockets, which might trigger some annoying / cancer senses for you guys. However, the Gunships are very easy to dispose of. Whoever's manning the machine gun is horrible because they never manage to hit shots, but periodically they'll have like a second or two where they actually hit all their shots, which makes them a little cancerous, but at the same time not really. I consider them lucky shots. And as for the rockets are easy to dodge. They take like 4 or 5 seconds to land after being released. They will ragdoll you like the Rocket Devastators, but that's only if you don't pay attention to the sound cues. The main body of the gunships are heavily armored, but the thrusters themselves are just made out of medium armor, which means you can shoot them down with the majority of the guns in the game. And if you're using a weapon like the Purifier, you don't even need to worry about where you're aiming, because medium armor penetration plus explosive equals spread. But of course, a squadron of gunships will prove quite deadly with everything else you have to pay attention to. All things considered, I'm willing to put them at the top of moderate, just at the brink of annoying. Next and last class of units from the Automaton faction are of course the heavy units. And what better way to start it off than with the most common enemy type, the Hulk. Now, there's 3 different variations of Hulks, but I will start with the Hulk Scorcher. I'm not one to use heavy armor, but if I did, I'm pretty sure they'd catch up to me. They are probably as fast as the Berserkers. They are relentless and won't stop at any cost. Now, of course, we all know that the Hulks are beefy, fitted with heavy armor all around, with the exception of the rear vents, which are unarmored according to the Helldivers wiki, which means if you're not one to use heavy armor penetrating weapons, you'll need to flank to their rear in order to kill them. They also do this weird thing where they twist their entire body around to prevent you from headshotting them, which is absolutely ridiculous if that's intentional. They'll twist their body around in a manner where you can't headshot them nor shoot their rear vents, making them difficult to dispose of. Now, if you're a person like me with about 300 or more hours in the game, you'll soon figure out that their flamethrower is kind of worthless, because as soon as they start incinerating you, you can just insta-ult and dive to prevent further incineration. The real problem is their saw blade, because of course, if they catch up to you, they will insta-kill you with their saw blade. But there's rarely, if not ever, a time where they actually catch up to you, despite how quick they are. But even if I don't bring the Quasar, all things considered, I still think they are deserving of the moderate difficulty category. Before moving on to the next set of automatons, I just want to make a quick statement. If I end up sounding a little different for the rest of the video, it's because I've come down with something, specifically some sort of sickness. Now, I am not one to get sick, so as you can imagine, it felt like getting hit by a truck. I'm honestly surprised I didn't get ragdolled myself with the sudden impact of this sickness I have obtained, including right now, as of this voiceover, I am still sick. So yeah, just a little heads up. Next up is the Hulk Obliterator and the Hulk Bruiser. I'm honestly just gonna grade these two in the same section of the video. They are not deserving of two separate sections. Now, this might be surprising to most of you, but when I was drafting my first tier list, I had originally placed the Hulk Obliterator and the Hulk Bruiser in the annoying category. As of today, I can say they are nowhere near that placement. The only way the Hulk Obliterator and the Hulk Bruiser can perform effectively is if you're out in the open and not in reach of cover, because as soon as you find a piece of cover, they will not at all approach you. They immediately give up after that. They also can't run like the Hulk Scorchers, so they're pretty much stationary most of the time. Now, both of these guys are fitted with rockets, except that the Obliterator only has rocket armaments and the Bruiser has a rocket arm and an auto cannon arm, both of which are as accurate as the gunships, because even if you're within 20 meters of them, they are not hitting a singular shot on you until they get their periodic 1 or 2 seconds where they hit all their shots like the gunships. What I'm trying to conclude with here is that they're never actually a problem unless you don't have enough penetration to destroy and dispose of them, which is the main reason I'm placing them in the moderate difficulty category. I wish I had saved this next one for last, but I am eager to speak about it. That being the bunker turrets. The bunker turrets are unbelievably cancer. If the automatons ever slap some wheels on this thing and send it out as a new enemy unit, we're cooked is right. Because the idea that a stationary target is one of the most cancer enemies in the game is unreal. Honestly, with how cancer they already are, I wouldn't be surprised if Arrowhead decided to buff the dropships and put these bad boys on top of them or something. Now, as I've mentioned before, I mainly use medium/light armor. I don't know about heavy armor, but the bunker turrets deal an immense amount of damage. It's not listed on the Helldivers wiki, but I'm pretty sure body shot is like 90% damage and headshot is a guaranteed kill no matter what. And not only that, but if they miss you, you're not safe, because if they shoot the ground right next to you, you will get ragdolled, basically stun locked, and their next shot immediately kills you. Not only that, but their range is impeccable. It seems like these guys can spot you from more than 70 meters away. And if you think that's bad enough, it's not. It keeps going, because there is no warning whatsoever when they're about to shoot at you or if you have been spotted. Not only that, it gets worse. They seemingly almost have infinite gun depression, because sometimes their gun can be seen clipping through the towers they're positioned in. Did I mention they can snipe you mid jump pack jump as well? The fact that they're designed that way is just ridiculous. If Arrowhead wants to keep them that way, that's fine, but there has to be some sort of nerf for them to be better suitable, like if they added a guided laser or some kind of blinking antenna. So yeah, if my emphasis wasn't enough, they are clearly deserving of the cancer category. Next up on the list is the cannon turret, which are as undetectable as the bunker turrets, because when you're pushing a fortress, you know there's going to be bunker turrets there. But the cannon turrets can be anywhere. You won't know if you're spotted by a cannon turret until they suddenly obliterate you. Rock right here. Oh my god, fucking cannon turret jump scare. And if the shot they have on you ends up hitting you within a 5-meter radius, it will some of the time end up causing you to fly and dying to fall damage. Now, unlike the bunker turrets, Arrowhead actually had the courtesy to give indication of when the cannon turret is about to fire. A sound effect plays while the barrel glows in red, which occurs only for a fraction of a second, after which it of course fires. Unfortunately, I have yet to unlock the reflexes required to dodge the shot of the cannon turret when the sound cue plays. The cannon turrets are also fitted with anti-tank armor all around, with the exception of the rear vent only having medium armor. But something I found out recently while just screwing around, if having the purifier equipped, which I only have tested with the purifier, you can shoot the bottom of the cannon turret and you are actually able to penetrate it. For any of you purifier mains out there like myself, you have now found out a way to easily dispose of the cannon turrets. Overall, I think they are deserving of the moderate difficulty category. Next set of heavy units that are upcoming are going to be the tanks, starting with what I believe is to be the best tank out of the lineup, the Barrager Tank. Now, the reason I believe this is the best tank is because Helldivers 2 is a game based on shooting enemies, to which cover is a critical part in returning fire. You need to be able to return fire safely, which is where the Barrager Tank comes in, because the Barrager Tank will fire rockets like artillery, well, it basically is artillery, and fire rocket barrages down onto us, which forces you out of cover. It is now January. Now, the reason why I am remaking this voiceover is because I can't find the old images of the tank armor, obviously because they were updated. But I just want to emphasize how great the Barrager Tank really is, because Arrowhead fucking obliterated, fucking annihilated, pardon my language, the armor on this thing from anti-tank level to completely unarmored. They must have thought that the Barrager Tank was too overpowered for our own good. They completely nerfed the fuck out of it. Even though the Barrager rockets are strong, I did not think at all that they were that strong according to Arrowhead. Now, of course, if the rockets land on you, then you insta-die because it's artillery. Artillery does what artillery is meant to do. Now, as strong as the rocket barrages are, the Barrager Tank actually gives you the courtesy of having at least 5 seconds of reaction time to get away from the rocket barrages before they come down onto you, except for the fact that if a Barrager Tank spawns in amongst you fighting a horde, a squadron of automatons, you won't be able to hear sound cues of the Barrager Tank firing rocket barrages down at you, which is probably why you end up dying to the rocket barrages 99% of the time. Now, even though I am currently playing Future Narrator, I'm still going to stick to my December tier list, and even though they nerfed the absolute hell out of the armor, I would still keep the Barrager Tank in its exact same category, which would be the moderate difficulty category. Next up is the Shredder Tank and the Annihilator Tank. Now, I'm honestly going to grade these in the exact same section like the Hulk, Obliterator, and Bruiser, because again, I do not think they are worthy of 2 separate sections. Mainly because there is never a time where you actually die to both of these guys, especially the Annihilator Tank. Starting with the Shredder Tank. Now, even with the Shredder Tank's great rate of fire and accuracy as long as they're aiming your direction, like I already mentioned, cover is a critical part of this game, and if you see a Shredder Tank or Annihilator tank being deployed, chances are you are already well within cover. However, if you find yourself outside of cover, the Shredder tank will take a couple of seconds before it inevitably locks onto you and mows you down. But of course, you can just flank around both of these guys and shoot their rear. Shoot their rear with whatever you have equipped, which only requires medium armor penetration to penetrate. And as for the Annihilator tank, there is no chance whatsoever that you die to these guys, because their cannon turret has like a 2-second delay before firing. And even if you have the slowest of reflexes, there is not even an iota of a chance that you die by the cannon. And even though the Shredder tank is considerably better than the Annihilator tank, I'd unfortunately still have to place both of these guys in the easy pickings category. Next up in the list is the Dropship, or should I say Dropships, because there are always multiple of these guys being dispatched in and capable of bringing in all sorts of reinforcements, whether it's light infantry, medium infantry, heavy infantry. The Dropships are majorly responsible for creating the immense chaos caused on the bot front. Now, the dropships are fitted with tank armor all around. There is not a weakness in sight according to the wiki, but one shot from the recoilless or the quasar onto the thrusters of these things will send them crashing down with all the reinforcements rather quickly. You will have to pre-fire in order to dispose of all of the targets being transported by the dropships before they are released in time. And if RNG is on their side, they'll have 2 dropships bringing in dogs on each one, because one isn't enough to deal with apparently. As cancerous as dropping in 2 dog sounds, I do not think they are worthy of the cancer category. Overall, they are definitely deserving of the annoying category. I believe I saved the best for last, and you guys all know what I'm talking about because you haven't seen it yet. The Factory Strider, aka the dog, aka the puppy, the big boy. Definitely not a puppy. One of the most bothersome enemies in the game, and some of you might be surprised to where I place it on the list. I'm going to have it placed at the very top of the annoying category. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Why isn't it in the cancer category? The Factory Strider needs to go into the cancer category. No, I do not believe it does. And a very simple explanation as to why I didn't place it in the cancer category. It's designed to be cancer, but because of that, what's meant to be irritating isn't as bothersome as it seems. A more detailed explanation of that would be, we know that the Factory Strider only has 3 armaments, 1 huge cannon and 2 Gatling machine guns. As soon as you destroy those armaments, which are quite easy to do actually, the Factory Strider is just a walking hunk of useless, worthless garbage. Now, the Factory Strider, as huge as it is obviously fitted with tank level armor all around. I don't think that was a surprise to anyone, with the exception of the eye being made of only heavy armor and very few sections only having medium armor. The Factory Strider also has a whopping 10,000 HP, which, as you can imagine, takes a great deal of stratagems and weapons to dispose of them. Now, as annoying as the Factory Striders are, there is rarely actually a time where you die to them. Unless one happens to spawn directly in front of you, there is rarely actually a time where you die to them. Let's talk about their main cannon, which deals 1500 damage, which disposes of everything in the cannon's path I can imagine, with the exception of us Helldivers, of course, because the traverse speed of the cannon is extremely, unbelievably slow. 20-30 degrees per second slow. The chances of anyone dying before the turret rotates someone's direction is near impossible, because by that time you would already be in cover. The main problem is their Gatling guns that literally aimbot you with 1200 RPM of pure power, but you can easily outplay the Gatling guns by just flanking around them, which when you end up starting the process of that, they have to turn their entire hull to get their Gatling guns to face you, which they won't be able to do because they are, again, extremely slow in doing so, which gives you all the time you need to run away or destroy them. Now, a simple well-placed 500 kg bomb will do the trick, although most of the time it's going to require two 500s, and I do not think you want to be wasting two 500s on one dog. Or like I mentioned earlier, you can just take out their cannons and that'll be the end of it. They can also shit out Devastators through their little belly hole or whatever, which being able to deploy 4 Devastators out of any other enemy in the game is just completely worthless. I can't even take that into consideration in the final ranking of the Factory Strider because the Devastators are just an absolutely worthless enemy to face. Overall, all things considered, like I've mentioned earlier, as cancer as they can be, I do not think they are deserving of the cancer category, but definitely deserving of taking first place in the annoying category. And that's the end of the Automatons enemy tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Any advice would be greatly appreciated, such as, do you guys prefer more in-depth explanations or do you guys like these more brief explanations? If you thought this tier list was perfect, then that's great. Consider sticking around. Hope you guys have a good rest of your amazing day, and I will see you guys in another video. Goodbye. I also stream 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.